Hello and welcome to episode 134. I'm Jason.
And I'm Bill. It's been an interesting week. Probably the tear jerk moment of the week was Coco Gauff in Osaka, and Osaka bringing her to the press conference and praising her after, it was kind of interesting because the crowd was rooting for Coco the entire match
Oh, yeah.
against, and she was very gracious. So it was a really good sports moment.
Agreed.
I thought that was really good.
The sweetheart lady girl,
You're 15 years old. You're going to be the star. You're going to be who everybody thinks.
Yeah.
You're going to be the story.
Without a doubt.
Yeah. Then I guess I think my most critical moment was Jalen Hurst's debut at Oklahoma.
Critical.
And he was well, just what was it going to be? I mean, national TV is coming out with Oklahoma, and he just crushed it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was an unbelievable debut. He could do whatever he wanted.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, and it's nice to see. And the crazy thing is, we could have a Tua, Hurts, both competing for the Heisman at some point.
We could.
It was quieter. I mean, once Hurst did his thing, like everybody else looked,
And then the other thing is, Oklahoma actually has a defense.
They do.
And they haven't been in any of the conversations about who could make the Final Four. And they absolutely could with him and that defense. They absolutely could. And they could be a favorite.
Well, so I think in their favor is they have a narrative. And the media loves a narrative as far as voting goes.
Yeah.
Lincoln Riley's established himself as one of the best coaches. Jalen Hurst looks incredible. And you got, he transferred away from Bama after losing his job. And now he's back here and he looks better than ever. I mean, it's like the narrative. And then the fact that, as we talk about other college football, the SEC, for as good as they looked in some games, the rest of the SEC did not look great in other games. They didn't look like the most dominant conference like they're always given credit for.
Like Tennessee losing to Georgia State.
Who was
They were a 25-point favorite.
And that team won 2 games last year.
I know. Unbelievable. To me, that was the biggest upset.
Oh, without a doubt. I mean, that's one of those yearly biggest upset,
Yeah, that's like App State, Michigan. It's right there. And the other one, though, was Florida State blowing an 18-point lead
to BYU and another freshman quarterback. It was also the
Boise State
quarterbacks. Yeah,
Boise State. Boise State always plays well. They always have good game plans. But I told you last year we went through this. I told you I really like Coach Taggart for what he did at USF, and it just blows my mind that with better talent, he's not been as good of a coach as he was with less talent.
It's a little crazy, yeah. But,
And then there was the USF debacle on Friday night.
Oh, they got smacked.
That looked like a college team playing a high school team. I mean, they couldn't do anything. And I mean, physically, it looked like they were giving away 100 pounds a guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, it was bad.
And then some just overall college.
But I think Oklahoma will go.
What's that?
Go ahead.
Oh, I think
Oklahoma will go undefeated until they play Texas.
Oh, I think.
And that'll be a great game.
And that's a fun game to watch. That's just a big rivalry. I mean, but it seems like there's a lot of quarterback potential in college football right now. I mean, obviously you have Lawrence coming out in 2 years. You got Tua and Fromm and Hurt, who I didn't think Uber or Abear looked very good this week for Oregon, but I know almost all of his starting wide receivers were hurt, so I'm not sure how much. Then you got the freshman at Auburn, the freshman at Boise State. I think Jalen Hurst maybe he just needed a little more time to develop. Maybe you need another year in the oven. He wasn't quite done yet. But I mean, I think you look around college football, and if you're a quarterback needy team or a team that has an older quarterback, I think you got to feel pretty good moving forward that there's some talent coming out.
And I guess if he has the year he looks like he's going to have, my big question is who's going to transfer into Oklahoma next year?
Everybody's lining up, I'm sure.
And you know what? That says something too, though, because Oklahoma is a pretty good redshirt freshman quarterback that was like one of the top players in Texas.
Yeah,
it's going to get to the point where if you're a high school, when you're high school quarterback, you're thinking, I'm not going to go to Oklahoma because they're going to bring somebody in. I'm not going to play.
it's true. But hopefully you've got the attitude that you're so good that there's nobody they could bring in that's going to be better than you. I mean, I think that's what you want out of your quarterback.
That's what you want. I mean, we need to talk about Oklahoma State's freshman too, because he was the Texas State Player of the Year in 2017, I think.
Yeah.
So he's a redshirt freshman, and he turned down Alabama, Oklahoma, and a number of other schools to go to Oklahoma State, which I find really interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, it would be a fun offense to play in, but so would Oklahoma.
It is, but I mean, Pickens has made the facilities at Oklahoma State are amazing. And
they are.
They've got a good fan base and a cool stadium, and it is. I mean, it's and Stillwater's a really cool college town. I mean, obviously we both have some, I haven't spent time there, but I mean, it's a lot of. I mean, I can see why it's easy to recruit. I would say,
But you know what I'm going to tell you? The last time they signed a Player of the Year, his name was Hartley Dykes, and he ended up getting them on probation and another school on probation, and somebody wrote him a check. And I'm just hoping that didn't happen here.
Well, I think we've already established that it probably happens all the time.
Yeah, it's sad.
And like I said, I think maybe I've always said that's the solution. Just let alumni play players to go to their school. That way the money's not in the school budgets. Let the alumni spend the money however they want to spend it. Helps out a few kids, whatever. It's great.
All right. There you go. There's our solution.
So speaking of needing teams, the Miami Dolphins are doing a full-on tank at this point, I would assume, right?
It sure looks like it. He made another trade today. See Kiko Alonso going too?
Now, I find the Laramie Tunsil one sort of an interesting trade because you're trading a franchise left tackle who's 25 years old. The story was if you traded him, the players are going to riot. So clearly not only was he a great player, but, a locker room guy that people really liked. Now, I understand you got him and you got Kenny Stills and Teddy Stills money off the books, and you got 2 firsts and a second, which is a pretty big haul.
Agreed.
But whoever you bring in as your eventual quarterback, so at one point, I feel like it's the problem with the Dolphins when I look at them. I know we talked AFC East already, but I mean, it almost seems like 2 people are running that organization. Because one seems like they're like, let's tank, let's get as best as we possibly can. The other part of the organization traded a 2nd-round pick for Josh Rosen, and you're starting an old man instead in Fitzpatrick, despite Rosen having technically better preseason numbers. Like, I don't understand why you traded for Rosen if you weren't just going to throw him out there and play him and see what he's got.
I don't know. It's confusing. And they're one of my clients. And I feel for the other guys on the roster now because what kind of message are you sending to everybody else?
Yeah. And at the same time,
because the league and a football player is not as long as a basketball player. So, I mean, it's a good trade. Maybe it's a good trade for the Dolphins. It's probably not a good trade for me.
No, it's not anyone on that team, no. Especially if you're a running back or a skill position player right now, it's none of that's looking good for you. And at the same time, if I'm the front office in Miami and I'm looking at, I still got Tom Brady and the Patriots and his forever deal with the devil where he's never going to get old, never going to die. And I got the Chiefs and the Chargers and the Packers and the Steelers and all these teams. Like, I don't have the talent to win right now, so maybe I do want to think to the future.
So, are you thinking they're going to start their future when Brady's not around?
I think there might be.
Yeah.
And again,
it's interesting.
If we look at the league for the last whatever, I know Flacco has won two Super Bowls. No, he won 1, and Dilfer won 1. So you got Dilfer, you got Flacco, you got Nick Foles. I mean, you can make the argument, but typically, the guys in the Super Bowl, the guys in the championship games are the best quarterbacks. And you have to get one. That's got to, I mean, if, that's what gets you where you need to go. So I mean, you need to do everything you can to get one if you like the guys coming out. And, I don't know.
And they've been in never spoiled with Greasy and Marino, and they haven't had anything since.
No, they have not.
But I am really, really looking forward to the NFL season on Thursday night.
Well, let's start talking. Let's go NFC North first. I'm assuming we're going to have the same team in last place, which is the Detroit Lions.
No question.
I just think they're a bad football team.
I'll go further. I'll say they're a bad football organization.
They are. It does bring up something weird, and that's, they're yet another team that hired a Belichick disciple, right? Yeah. And it's amazing that none of these guys are able to, even though they should come with some credibility, like, you need to run hills, you need to do all these things that Belichick would do, but none of them are able to pull off what Belichick was able to, not, obviously you're never going to be Belichick, but it seems like none of them really had success installing that system, I
mean, you got Matt Stafford, you got decent players.
Right.
What's the deal?
I don't know. I really don't know. But yeah, I think they're
my third.
Oh, who's your third place?
The Packers.
Packers, huh?
Yep, the Packers.
And what don't you like about the Packers?
I like them. I just don't like them as well as I like the Bears and the Vikings.
I've actually swapped, and I actually have the Vikings in third. I know it's early, but I still think Aaron Rodgers has got one more just badass Aaron Rodgers year in him. And I think they've got Devontae Adams, Jimmy Graham, they get Geronimo. I like their offense. And I think they've also – I think their defense is sneaky good.
Okay.
And I don't like Kirk Cousins.
I know you don't.
I just don't think he's very good. And I think, between Cousins – and I know Thielen and Diggs are a really nice pair of wide receivers. But I think their defense has taken a few hits by losing a few players over the years. I think Delvin Cook's really unreliable as a running back based on his health history. And I think the Green Bay Packers are going to pull out the second place this year.
Okay. So obviously we're both on the Bears bandwagon.
I really am.
I am too. And I like what they have. Now it looks like they have a kicker. And if they'd had a kicker last year, we could be talking about the defending Super Bowl champion. Who knows?
Well, I know that, when you look at the numbers, and whether you're an analytics person or even an old school person, the Bears had a ridiculous number of turnovers on defense. And even if they have they're sort of in that Patrick Mahomes situation where even if they have a great year, they're probably not going to get as many turnovers. So the hope is that, you still have Khalil Mack, you still got a great defense. You're still going to have a great defense. You're just probably not going to get that ridiculous, almost record-breaking number of turnovers. You're probably going to be closer to the mean of really good defense turnovers. But I think I've got a little faith in Mitch Trubisky. I think he's better every year. And I think he's going to be better this year.
He just doesn't make a lot of mistakes.
No.
He's making a lot of great splash plays, but he's not going to make a lot of mistakes.
Yeah, because I like Trubisky better than Goff. I think he's a better – I'm really down on Jared Goff as a football player. I don't think he's a very good player. And I think Trubisky's a better quarterback and a better quarterback.
Last year he's an abnormality? Yeah. Okay.
And I like Cohen. I like the running back they brought in. I like them.
Well, the other thing that I really like about the Bears, and has nothing to do with football, was the ESPN feature called Peyton's Place.
I did.
Did you see that? With Peyton and the Bears doing a Ditka thing? I usually don't like Peyton Manning in his roles, but I thought he was hilarious in that role. And I thought that was one of the best spots I'd seen in a while on TV. So if y'all haven't seen it, go online and look up Peyton's Place, the Bears. And it's a great spot. You'll laugh hard at the end.
Well, I guess we should go to our favorite division, right?
AFC North.
Again, we have an obvious fourth place team, Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah. And the only reason they're a fourth place team is because
they might be one of the worst teams in football, I think, when all is said and done.
It's going to come down to them and the Dolphins for sure, and the Cardinals. Those are going to be three of the worst teams we see.
But I think we know Andy Dalton has a high ceiling. They've already lost A.J. Green I know they didn't put him on IR, but he's gone for the first 6-7 weeks of the season. And I honestly think if he comes back in time for the trade deadline, he might be moved anyway. Because I think he was a candidate to be moved early in the season if he was, if they got the right package for him.
There's just nothing there. They're not even an interesting team to watch. All right, my number 3 team in the division is the Ravens. I'm believing a little bit of the Browns hype, but I think the Browns hype will finish second. But I get the Ravens at third. I think that the quarterback. I don't think he makes the season.
No, I think that's.
I think he's too reckless.
Yeah, I like Lamar Jackson. I'm rooting for Lamar Jackson. I like Gus Edwards. They know what they are, and they play defense and they run the football. They're that old school team, and they're not apologetic about it or even sneaky about it. But I just don't think that's going to be enough to beat, in modern NFL. I just don't.
No, they lost a bunch of really good players off that defense, and they did get from Seattle. They got a great safety, but they lost Waddell, who had played really well for them. And they lost.
I think last year you also had a little bit of. Remember when the Dolphins, probably like a decade ago, ran the Wildcat? I think the Ravens had such a weird offense as far as the RPOs and a lot of Lamar Jackson running that I think it just threw everybody off. And
I think what's missing with the Ravens this year is that emotional, nasty leader on defense. The Ray Lewis, the Terrell, and that's gone. And that they're going to be searching for that person. They're going to be searching for that identity.
And I think people are a little bit too excited about Lamar Jackson throwing the ball well in the fourth quarter, down 20 points against the Chargers. I mean, he did look better, but it wasn't like he was throwing dimes out there. I think the Chargers had taken the foot off the gas, which we've seen in the modern NFL was as easy as to score points. You can't do that. And I think they had some momentum and they got going. But I think if he's going to be an NFL quarterback, a really good end, he's still at least a year away. Which brings us to Cleveland. All the talent in the world on both sides of the ball. Scary amount of talent.
Yeah. They're better. They're going to win at least 8 games.
I think they might. Yeah, I'm predict they're one of my playoff teams. I think they're going to get a wild card.
So you're going to pick a wild card.
Obviously, we're picking a different team to win the division, which means the only way into the playoffs is a wild card. But I think they just have too much talent. And you look across the board, like their third wide receiver, Antonio Callaway, was a beast last year. And on offense, I think they're going to be a lot to handle. I mean, whatever, throwing out what we think about him as a person, they're going to get a fresh, rested Kareem Hunt at week 9 this season to come in and help Nick Chubb, And Myles Garrett is scary on defense. Denzel Ward's a really nice corner. They've got a lot of talent on that defensive side of the ball. Shane Vereen they picked up to add pass rush on the other side. They're going to be a lot to handle. I'm just hoping that, Freddie Kitchens isn't quite the coach and Baker makes enough mistakes to keep them out of first place. But I'm terrified of the Browns. But I'm not picking them.
I think it takes a year to blend all that talent.
That's together. The hope.
So I think they could win a division a year from now. I don't think.
And here's a story that combines our second place and our first place team. The Steelers, knowing they needed a tight end, put in a waiver claim for Ricky Seals-Jones, who's been a very up and down tight end in the league. But they did not get him because the team that got him is the Cleveland Browns. Because they
Yeah, and the Steelers are 20, so they're going to have a hard time getting anybody off that waiver wire.
Um,
And they'll have teams that will block. They'll have teams like the Browns. I know the Browns need him, but they can block him and stick him
I
on
know,
the
but
practice squad.
because Steelers could sign him off the practice squad. They've got to keep him on the roster, but I mean, I'm sure he's probably better than their third tight end. Steelers are going to have to get creative with their tight end
Probably.
position. But we both like
Which brings us to our next pick. And we both agree that the Steelers are the number one pick.
I think people forget.
And to me, it's not. I like this team
Much
better than I like
what
the
people
team
forget
last
is the team last year, they were number 6 overall in offense, number 8 overall in defense. They had a top 10 offense and a top 10 defense last year. Despite all their defensive struggles, they were a top 10 defense. And then you added Devin Bush. Yeah.
Any role?
Yeah, Edmonds has another year in the system. Artie Burns looked like he sort of recovered from his craziness. Stevie Nielsen, the corner that got out of Kansas City, looks like a nice piece to go with him.
I like the depth of wide receiver.
Some of these rookie linebackers look awesome. Stephon Tuitt has been an absolute beast this preseason.
Yeah.
I think their defense is going to be awesome.
I think the defense is going to be significantly better than last year. It was good last year, but it's going to be significantly better. He's going to get them off the field on third down.
And I think much like the Browns, I know it's been much like the Bears. Like the Steelers have had so few turnovers the last couple of years. I think that number can only go up, and they're going to have more opportunities with the football. And on offense, I mean, they really haven't had Le'Veon Bell. They didn't have him all last year, and that dude's missed a lot of games. He played, I think, 36 games for the Steelers over the course of his career due to various injuries and drug suspensions and everything else. So, I mean, I think they're fine without him. And I think Antonio Brown is a huge loss, obviously. He's one of the best receivers in football, tons of talent, but I think they can overcome it.
Yeah, they're going to overcome it.
Because I think at the very least, they have a year, especially with Juju being Juju, where they can really spread the ball around and not worry about having to get – I don't think you're going to see a lot of guys on the sideline screaming, I was open, I was open. That may happen in the future, but I think you're going to have a year of bliss in Steeler wide receiver lane where people are just do it for the team and not worry about, why does James Washington have 6 targets? I have none. I think, like I said, I think that may be a problem down the line, but I think this year they're okay because they're all sort of in, the other mode. And, I think Tomlin is also, I know myself, I've criticized him a number of times on this podcast. I still think he's one of the better coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he's going to have. I think he's going to be rejuvenated. I think Ben's going to be rejuvenated. I just think it's a whole uplift to that team.
Ben does look like he actually lost some weight because I think he's also in a redemption season. And I like there has already been some turnaround and people are starting to like the Steelers publicly, but I think they've got a little bit of that chip on their nobody believes in us thing going for them, which is a great thing to have, I think, as a team. People like being the underdog. Yeah. People like being nobody thinks we're going to win, but we're going to show, that's a good thing to be.
And I love Mason Rudolph as the backup. He looked dominant in exhibitions. He really took a big step forward.
And quick shout out, University of Toledo defense. Stealing fucking players off of.
Yeah. Actually, shout out the whole team. With the Steelers take 3
they
guys
have 4 Toledo players on the team right now. And the Steelers also have they have the most undrafted players on their roster of any team in the NFL, which is interesting on some level. Hopefully that's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, I was really impressed with Skipper, like I said. For somebody drafted at all, I don't know how he doesn't get. I don't know how he doesn't get found. Put it that way.
Yeah,
he didn't get found.
I get when it's like you look at Antonio Brown in the 6th round. He went to a small school. He ran like a 4.6 40, and he was a 5'9", 170-something pound receiver. Like you understand why that happened, It's easy to be like, oh well, I get it. Like maybe that what But Skipper,
And remember,
Yeah.
he was a third of the receivers.
Whereas Skipper just seems like an beast. Yeah.
Mike Wallace, and then Antonio
Yeah.
Brown. But then he got full of himself, and that was been the end of it.
It's very true. And I guess, we'll give a quick baseball shout out to Justin Verlander. Pretty awesome. Only the sixth player ever to have years. Yeah.
3 no-hitters. Nolan Ryan's 1. Sandy Koufax is 2. Verlander's tied for 3 with a gentleman by the name of
It's a nice company to have, right?
It's rarefied air, as they say.
Extremely.
Very, very elite. Let me give you an entertainment moment. I've been watching Ballers. And Ballers has really done a good job of incorporating a lot of current NFL issues into the season. Like they've had a PED issue already. They've had ownership sale and talk out of a lockout and evaluation of a franchise. A lot of really cool things. It's been really, really fun to watch this year. It went from a great TNA show to a show with substance.
Well, how about I'll throw out my food moment, and then we'll have a spoilery discussion of Mindhunter Season 2 for anyone that wants to continue listening. Because I'm caught up. So there's a place down here called Bakery Bar, which is exactly what it sounds like. It's a bakery. They have a slight selection of food, usually brunches, but it's also a bar, full cocktail, full liquor bar. And Delberge, I don't know, it's Doberge. I'm sure it's French. It's a style of cake I've only seen in New Orleans. It's basically 7 layers of cake with custard filling in between the 7 layers and then a ganache top. And they have all sorts of crazy flavors from like the normal, like the 2 standards, the 80-year-old cake is the lemon and the chocolate. But they have s'mores. They had a fig-filled one. They had a rainbow one. They have a lot of different ones. It's just really good. I don't know what to say. Like, it's the best of that kind I've ever had. So give them a quick shout out.
Okay.
It's very good.
Well, it sounds good. Well, I'm on my way to Minneapolis. I'm going to go to a breakfast place called Hell's Kitchen. I've heard amazing things about. So I might have a food moment as a breakfast. Minnesota does have great breakfast places.
Mindhunter Season 2.
Okay, talk about Mindhunter.
I flew through it. There's only 9 episodes.
And I rewatched Season 1. Yeah, I rewatched Season 1 before I watched Season 2. And it's just such a
David Fincher, famous director, is obviously behind the show. For anyone that's thinking about getting on board and hasn't turned off our podcast for spoilers yet, the nice thing is it's David Fincher, so he's got a lot of juice. And he said this is a 5-season show. So I know sometimes people see a new show, and even at the second season, like people don't want to commit. But he's got a plan for 5 seasons. So it's a show you can get on board now, and then you're gonna get a conclusion is basically what he's telling you, which I think is pretty awesome.
And I think whoever does the casting,
there's been a lot of things on Facebook and Twitter where they show you the pictures of the real killer and then the pictures of the person they cast, and they're spot on. And the guy that plays Ed Kemper, I think he should win it. And he's one of the best actors on TV right now. He's so good. Like that scene at the end, of season 1, where he gets up when Holden comes to visit him, and he just gets up so fast, and you see how big and how menacing he can be. That was awesome. That's one of the best moments of TV all year, I think. Or I guess it was last year, technically, but it was just so good. I rewatched that part again, too.
It was a spine tingler, and that's a good standard. Spine tingler is always a good way to go.
Yeah.
No, I think it's a phenomenal show. I really enjoyed it.
Manson was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Manson was scary. Sutton was interesting.
Really was.
Without telling everybody too much. It was an interesting portrayal. A good reveal about Son of Sam. Manson was just, like Manson is. I mean, Manson is a menacing, powerful figure for somebody that's like 5'5". It's incredible. And you know what I really like, Jason, and this might get somebody to turn in and watch it. They actually played Manson's music to start one of the episode with the episode before.
I did, and I've actually heard that before, and it's not terrible. Like,
it's not terrible, and I'm blaming the Tate LaBianca murders on the Beach Boys, because if they would have brought him into the band, he would have never started that downhill path.
Yeah, I mean, I know that he hung out with the Beach Boys and the Beatles, of all people. Or was in, at least, he was at places they were at the same time and was interacting with them and playing music. So it's pretty nuts. And like I said, when you listen to it,
well, he's pretty good. One of the House Boys. Yeah. And so that's my question I ask every week, Jace. Have you seen Once Upon a Time in Hollywood yet?
I know.
And you got to go.
And really I did realize that I did find out the person who plays Manson on Mindhunter also played Manson in that movie. So you get some, but probably because he's just so good. Like, I don't know who else you would cast as. I mean,
yeah, he's going to be typecast. If there's a bunch of Manson movies, he's going to play him every time. It'd be hard to find somebody that looks more like Manson than this guy.
He's got that just. There's even though he comes in and, like you said, he's 5'5", he sits on the top of his chair like a child. But he's got this menace, and he has this energy, darkness that just, the actor just absolutely phenomenal. I thought the guy that
really was good.
Was really good.
So if you haven't seen
child murder, or at least convicted.
Yeah. He was way good, yeah. So if you haven't seen it, go watch season 1 and then watch season 2.
And as we said,
hooked. I bought tickets already to see it 2 on Friday.
Weeks ago.
So I'm looking forward to it too. I don't know who the cast is yet, but I'm looking forward to it. And when there's a movie I want to see, I always go the first day.
Well, Bill Hader,
so I don't have to put up
SNL fame, who was obviously Stefan on the news. Apparently, and I saw him. He's obviously been in the HBO show Barry, where he's really good. They said he's like Oscar worthy in it too. Mm-hmm. He's the adult version of Wolfhard. He was the sarcastic guy with glasses growing up.
Okay. Well, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. So we're going to go Friday. We're going to land, go to Fiore's,
the flying part. That's a great
and then go see it too. Yeah, it is. So we're fired up. It's going to be really good. And I guess our show next week, we'll talk about.
I'm assuming we might start recording on Monday nights and going up on Tuesdays during the NFL season. Probably more regular. I think it's because Steelers play Monday night, and I think that'll be a big part of our show, Steelers Patriots, next week. You are going to get more Steelers talk, but what are you going to do? And we'll try. No. We'll try to be objective, but I know what sucks is like a little preview of that game. Like the Patriots usually start out, 1-2 or 2-2 to start the season. And I think this is the time the Steelers can get on them. But for whatever reason, Tom Brady has like a searing hate of the Steelers. That just is not, even though they gave him his opportunity, they were the ones that knocked Bledsoe out. He should be grateful. And instead, he hates the Steelers and gets up for them more than almost any other team, which is really disappointing. Yeah, he's been a thorn. There's no question. So we'll record Monday night then next week. And technically recording on Monday today. So happy Memorial Day to people that are listening. Well, you'll have heard this afternoon. Happy Labor Day. My bad. Happy Labor Day. And those in the Bahamas and those on the east coast of Florida, our prayers are with you. And apparently in the Carolinas as well, because it's apparently going up there a little bit too. But you never know with these storms, so everybody stay on alert. All right, so until next week, please rate us, review us, join us on Patreon, tell your friends and family. Anything else? That will do it. Have a good week, everybody.